And you've seen right there more chaotic scenes from Minneapolis earlier after Minnesota sued DHS to stop the surge of enforcement agents, calling it a, quote, federal invasion. And it looks like the protesters are treating it as one. Former MSNBC host Joy Reid claims liberal women are taking the lead in the unrest because, as she argues, Black people would get shot.
This woman was part of a group of people who they trained to try to be ICE interrupters. Mm-hmm. And what they try to do is observe what ICE is doing, film them, and try to use their white privilege, to be honest. They're mainly white people.
Which is what we ask.
Which is what we ask them to do, right? Because Black people, like, we can't put our bodies on the line because cops will shoot us. So white women, have been taking the lead in being the ones to step forward and challenge ICE.
And others in the media keep piling on ICE agents.
We see these clowns on TV with improper training, and we understand they're doing everything wrong.
Officials saying she was dangerous, not just some innocent mother of three. Just like they say Kilmar Abrego Garcia isn't just a Maryland father.
Kristi Noem calls her a domestic terrorist. I mean, try to just remember what you see, okay? You see it, and you know what the truth is.
She does not fit the definition of domestic terrorist, in my view.
As they are building this case again.
Greg, that's her view. What's yours?
First of all, Joe Scarborough should not be giving any analysis on competence or physical health. This is a guy who diagnosed Biden as fit. Doesn't he have, shouldn't he be like hidden somewhere? I would be hiding myself in shame after the 4 years that joker had. Only Joy could look at an event and conclude the exact opposite meaning. A white protester dies, and she says that's because of white privilege. No, it just shows that when it comes to ICE, they're kind of colorblind when it comes to protests. I feel like I need to explain the nature of Black protests to Joy Reid.
Okay.
So the difference between Black protest and white protest is Black protest is for a cause, white is for content. For Blacks, it was the civil rights movement. But oddly enough, for white female liberals, it could be trans, it could be Hamas, it could be climate, it could be ICE. They're very promiscuous with their compassion when it comes to causes. Why would they be that way? It's because it's about the performance. It's the egocentric need for self-expression. This is why Hamas loved the campuses. They knew they could get a bunch of white girls because the white girls are like, oh my God, finally I can like lose my white privilege. You don't see Black protesters at animal rights events or climate change or trans. They're not at drag queen story hour. You know, maybe there might be a few drag queens, but they're not the parents. They don't go for the curated causes. They go for the stuff that matters in their lives. But you know, but white liberal females, man, they are ripe for the programming. And man, they get programmed from the get-go. It's a shame they don't have friends or people in their lives that say, don't do this. It's not good for you and your family. Somebody like me who would be there and be happy to say that.
And Kennedy, it is almost as if the federal government also, they have so many things they need to communicate. And one of them is figuring out who is encouraging these groups to do this kind of behavior, because it is illegal to interfere with federal law enforcement and the consequences can be deadly.
Well, and I think that's the point, the consequences. And that was the point that Joy Reid didn't realize that she was making. There are a lot of Black people who have seen their family members and people in their community shot engaging with police officers. And, you know, that's not really where it's worth it. But I didn't believe in white privilege until I started seeing this stuff. And I'm like, maybe Joy Reid is onto something. Maybe Greg is onto something, because, you know, these white women feel immortal because they are propped up not only by each other and their little cluster cusses at their hippie charter schools, but also by these organizations. You know, I look at some of these protesters, and it doesn't matter if they're protesting in defense of Hamas at Columbia, or if they're in the streets getting in the face of ICE agents. they all pretty much look the same. If they're carrying the signs are professional. If they're carrying backpacks, they're tactical tailor. You know, this is gear that's really, really expensive. And, you know, these are the great unwashed. A lot of them are lazy attention seekers who are really doing this as a form of tourism. So, yes, they are being bankrolled by some entities who are so wealthy, they have been great at shielding themselves from investigation and prosecution. But I really want to know, who are these groups and what is in it for them? And if they are billionaires, why are you trying to bring down a system that put you at the top of your perch?
There was a New York Post article today about some of the women who have decided to go. And one of them said that she drove all the way there because she wanted to feel the energy. And then I was going to ask you, Jessica, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but Kat Rosenfield at the Free Press, she wrote a piece today saying that this is not a movie. Like, people imagine, oh, like this will happen and then it'll be fine. And then you'll be like talking about it at dinner that night. But that's not what happens when there is interference like that.
Well, it definitely has very dangerous consequences. So it's an R-rated movie, if that's the analogy that you're going with. But I think that talking about the thousands of people that have been out protesting across the country as all, you know, blue-haired wine mom kooks is completely misguided and makes you look a little bit blind. I mean, if you look at the people who are standing outside of Somali-owned businesses, for instance, or if you listen to Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota, talking about the Trump administration trampling on the Constitution and that the way that ICE is enforcing the law is completely unacceptable and that it's un-American. If you listen to Joe Rogan talking about what all of us with eyes and ears can see and hear, you cannot conclude that this is just about, you know, a bunch of people who are radicalized online so they can be part of this group and quote unquote feel the energy. The media talking about it is not the problem. Americans are seeing these videos. They're seeing one of the images that we just showed, a woman being pulled out of her car. She was on her way to a doctor's appointment. 82% of Americans have seen Officer Ross's video of what happened with Renee Good there, and 53% think that he should face criminal charges. On top of it, the fact that the administration is so blindly defending this officer and has absolutely no interest in finding out what happened on his side of things is mind-blowing to me. So the FBI has enough time to investigate Renee Good's, her ties, right, her activist ties. But there's no investigation into Officer Ross, and 6 prosecutors just resigned from the Minnesota office saying we normally would investigate any law enforcement officer that kills somebody, but that isn't what's happening right now. And maybe that is what will change. But it's the criminal section of the Civil Rights Division would be doing this. And 6 prosecutors have quit because that is not what has happened up until this point. If that all changes, then we will talk about it again. But at this point, we have a story that Renee Good is a domestic terrorist and Officer Ross is allowed to do whatever he wants. And all of these ICE agents, if you can't see that there are people behaving badly here, that they are using tear gas on them, that they were pulling people out of their cars, pulling kids out of their jobs at Target. Like,
you create the environment and then you complain about the consequences. When you kick over a beehive, don't complain when the bees come after you.
Every single one of
when
those
you poke a bear, don't say, I can't believe the bear's chasing me.
You have a right to stand there and yell at
That's not what we were talking about. We are talking about you guys are deliberately creating an environment so that there is chaos. And when there is chaos, you go, oh my God, someone gets hurt. What do you expect in chaos?
You don't think that they're trying to create chaos?
Yes.
What they're the ICE officers.
These organizations desire chaos.
Going in and
how naive are you?
And it wouldn't be you wouldn't have this chaos if Minnesota police cooperated with the federal government.
There are Americans being pulled out of their cars. Americans.
You know why, Jessica? Because they're getting in the way. Why do you think she
that
got
woman
pulled
driving
out?
to her doctor's appointment?
She was just a mom. She was just a mom in the wrong place. You guys lie about all of this.
That's another hoax.
Okay.
You're going to find out
Add
tomorrow.
it to the list.
She's not going to a doctor's appointment. She was obstructing an ICE operation. And these resignations, Jessica, that's another hoax. It's already been debunked.
Really?
And how can you look at these videos by everybody? It's like hours ago that was debunked. They resigned in like October. Hold on. Watch the videos, Jessica. It's mostly women.
Yep.
You can't deny it's mostly women and crazy-looking women.
Where's Governor Ventura in these protests?
Yeah, he's not the one putting his life life on the line. It's mostly women, crazy-looking women, trans women, and then the guys are like the Trantifa guys.
Where's
They're all
Mark Ruffalo
skinny
in this?
With backpacks. Look at her. She's got a shaved head. Benny Johnson. Last night said on my show something very interesting theory. A lot of these women are single. And so you have this instinctive motherhood that's really not been able to be expressed. So they're trying to wrap their arms around the immigrant community and protect them. And it's very, very dangerous, Jessica. And sometimes women have to be protected whether they like it or not.
You and the president have mentioned that before, and I'm sorry
we
that
will
I
protect
missed
you.
that.
We will protect you.
I'm good.
But we're not going to protect the killers who came in from Mexico. Sorry.
Okay.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.